right, good evening, everybody. Really appreciate everybody being here and appreciate the panelists for the time. And, my name is Dr. Marion McNabb. I am the CEO of Cannabis Community Care and Research Network. I'm really honored to be here tonight. Really appreciative of everybody being here. We'll have two panel discussions around what is a hot topic in the industry. As we all know and heard, Massachusetts is the first state to adopt a national social equity program at the state level, and we're honored to have these experts here tonight. So I'll let the panelists introduce themselves briefly, starting off. So we know Commissioner Hoffman. Thank you for being here.
I think I've said my piece. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me here tonight.
Yeah, thank you. The topic of this panel discussion is around diversity and inclusion from a variety of perspectives. So we'll start with Shamika. If you want to introduce yourself very briefly and your background.
Sure. I'm Shakira.
Okay.
The other wrong tag. Okay. Sure. So, journey. I was about 60 pounds heavier than I am right now, and I decided to go vegan to lose some weight because I just couldn't get it off any other way. It took me about 2 months. And then over the course of, I think about 18 months, I started training really hard in the gym and going and getting my fitness certifications and things of that nature. And then I kind of got a little stressed out in corporate America. I'm a business development and program manager by profession. Super stressful environment. And I started really beating my body up to the point where I tore my rotator cuff in 2 spots. Had a torn labrum, I had a torn bicep tendon, all kinds of wacky stuff in my right shoulder. And I had to have a major surgery back on actually June 1st of last year. And so, of course, when you go through major surgery, the first thing they do is give you opioids for pain management. And I was very fearful of opioids because addiction is, prevalent in my family. And so after about a week of lost time on the couch, I was like, you know what? That other stuff kind of got me through exams in undergrad, so maybe I'll give that a shot again. So, right? So I transitioned into a cocktail that I self-prescribed for a little while, just to get me through the pain and get me through the physical therapy that was involved in rehabilitating my body. Then in October, I had to have another major surgery on my uterus. Any woman who's had a cesarean section, you know that the recovery process is pretty intensive. So I had to again self-medicate because I didn't want to become an addict. I didn't want to become a statistic. And I had to get well very quickly. So I transitioned my well-being, and I'm like, you know what? I've heard so many stories of people who've gotten addicted to opioids because of, wisdom teeth being pulled or surgeries and things of that nature. And I'm like, I think that if I talk more about my journey and I'm able to share my experience and how I was able to just overcome pain by use of alternative methods, not just cannabis, but massage therapy, fitness, yoga, all of those things, I could become a self-proclaimed wellness entrepreneur that I'm here as tonight. I won't call myself an expert. Thank you, Dr. Marion, for considering me that. But I'm up and coming. I am an ACE certified fitness instructor. I'm gonna get my group fitness certification soon. And I'm hopeful that eventually I will become a part of this cannabis community as a entrepreneur. So
Thank you. Thank you. I know that you did draft some recommendations for Boston City Council related to equity that we'll speak to a little bit later. So thank you.
yes.
And I think we also know Steve Mandile. You want to speak a little bit?
Yeah, just use my neck muscles here. Thanks for the goosebumps. That was great. It's inspiring to hear everyone's stories all the time. My name is Steve Mandile. I'm the guy that gets to hang out with Sid all the time. That's how most people know me. I'm a person proud of that, and very proud to help empower other people in any and all stages of recovery. and just letting them know that they have value and we still love them and we still want them here, and to always choose life. Things can get dark, but you've already been through so much stuff already, so we're always involved in helping people with their mindset and getting the right frame of mind to just succeed in life. You listen to numbers and you'll think you never have a chance with only a tenth of people getting into recovery and staying in recovery, but that's only because you haven't tried yet. So, and you haven't done it yet. You will. We'll get you there. So that's me in a nutshell, I guess.
My name is Karima, Rizk, and I'm a cannabis advocate, entrepreneur, and professional that resides in East Hampton, Massachusetts. I've been in the cannabis space since, I think, August 2016, when I started out working for one of the first medical marijuana dispensaries in Massachusetts, and that was an amazing experience. I continued and I got my MBA at UMass Amherst here, and it was a natural conclusion to explore entrepreneurship once I graduated. So taking both my private sector experience, I also worked in government federally, and also working in a licensed dispensary, I decided to embark on Cafe Vert, which is a social consumption coffee house, cannabis coffee house. That was my vision, it has been my vision. The vision has been to legally get licensing through the CCC and through my local government. And it's been a really long process. Social consumption regulations are not finalized yet, but I have to say it's been extremely rewarding. And something you may hear both myself and our mayor, who's going to speak in the next panel, talk about is that we just had an amazing civil dialogue around cannabis in the community of East Hampton. So I like to think of us as kind of a hub for a really neat place where people are willing to try social consumption ballot committee and have a little experience there. I've done a lot of speaking on equity and diversity across the state. And most recently, while I'm waiting, I have joined the Vert as a group and now serving as the director of operations. So I'm just thrilled to be in this space and to be one of the many professionals up here.
Good evening, family. My name is Horace, and I'm the executive director of the Union of Minority Neighborhoods. It's a civil rights, social justice organization based in Boston. We're probably known for making sure that the state budget cares about poor people and poor reform. But with that said, I'm also the social justice representative on the Cannabis Advisory Board. And I guess, I look like I'm in a room full of family, so one of us has to be the ass tonight. So I'm probably going to be it. I brought up Steve up, who's a very, very good friend of mine. But I have to say, I'm kind of disappointed in the way and the direction that things are going, and I'll speak to that later.
Thank you all for being here. So we asked the panelists to come prepared to ask 2 questions, and then we would leave about 15 minutes for Q&A. So why don't we just get to it? So we asked each panelist, from each of your own perspectives, what are 2 main suggestions that you might have for how large businesses and small businesses can collaboratively work together in the Massachusetts cannabis industry? So I don't know who might want to start off with some recommendations, knowing from each of these very different backgrounds of small business, young entrepreneur, Cannabis Control Commission, senior advisor, veteran entrepreneur. Yeah. How can we better work together collaboratively?
You know what? I'm gonna lean in.
Do it.
Yeah. So I came with some thoughts. I just wanted to kick off the conversation by acknowledging a couple of things I think are really important in the conversation for small and large business to come together. And I think one of the things that as a group in an industry we have to acknowledge is that diversity has value. It's not just a good thing, but it's a really important and a profitable thing to do. I think we all need to look at how companies with women, minorities, and different ethnicities, as well as veterans and LGBTQ, and other minority groups, disabled groups, are better and more diverse in their diversity. So I think we're a lot more competitive in that realm. I also think it's really important, just as part of this conversation, nobody really wants to mention, but the power structures. That's, a part and parcel of this industry. And so we can kind of own it and talk about it and have a productive dialogue how to move forward. We're kind of getting stuck in a blame game. So I think with that regard, we need to think about access to capital and investors. We need large companies to be transparent with and engage in upright business practices and lending terms. And I think a really good leader, I like to look at positive models. And something I saw that was really good in my mind, Theory Wellness came out with a really exciting economic empowerment program. And that includes 0% interest loans up to $250,000 or some financing up front, no strings attached. And I think that's kind of the good behavior that we should all be leading with and incentivizing that and a leadership role for the bigger companies. More pointedly, I'd like to offer, I think it would be great to have a better engagement model between small and big businesses. I think there should be some kind of formal mechanism for communication and networking between the groups. We just need more communication. I also think it would be great for big companies to hold competitions with innovation, such as annual pitch contests. If there's a way to do like a product kind of hackathon or something around product development, I think we can come together, whether businesses, small businesses, investors, and industry experts. As I mentioned before, we really need to incentivize and reward the large companies to work with us, not just say, hey, it's a great thing. But for example, maybe that can lead to a social justice leader status, or perhaps maybe with communities, they could give them a 0.25% break on their host community agreements. Something that really has teeth and shows that diversity is important. Finally, my last suggestion was I would love to see a mentorship program. Something meaningful, something that doesn't pit competitor against competitor, maybe geographic diversity, people who don't necessarily are going to find each other out, but they can have you
lead in now.
I'd like to see that between small business owners and C-suite and high executives. I think it doesn't really cost a lot of money and there's a lot of potential. Those are my ideas.
Yeah. There's enough pie to go around.
Amen.
Like, global spending is expected to grow 230% to $32 billion by 2022, compared to $9.5 billion in 2017. So there's enough money to go around for everyone to get a piece of the pie. So watching the numbers that the CCC puts out, and being very conservative and trending that data, by November of this year, we'll probably we'll exceed $368 million in retail sales.
You were talking Department of Revenue.
I try to do a little research. And then I kind of translated that into consumer transactions, which will probably exceed 9.3 million transactions by November of this year. So, there's enough to go around. So accept that reality as a large business. So I think that large businesses have to join executive boards and provide meaningful and substantive input into our business models, into our business plans, and how we execute our business. Just put some skin in the game. That's what it's really all about. We can talk about policy and intentions all day and write SOPs that sound fantastic and put these great things on our websites, but really engage with small business owners and help us by putting some of your own skin in the game, right? Really and truly. I think that it's important to really lobby with municipalities to basically enforce some of the policy recommendations that my wonderful coalition has formulated that I forgot to mention during my intro. So we developed a team. It was 6 of us. We decided to create this coalition, the Marijuana Economic Empowerment Coalition, and we wrote a almost 3-page document of policy recommendations that we submitted to the city of Boston, as well as to the CCC, just so they can understand that, hey, these are the barriers. We identify what those barriers are. A significant barrier is the 0.5-mile buffer zone requirement. I really and truly think that if you are serious about getting 36 months waiting for, approvals from the municipalities or from the state of Massachusetts. So, just really be intentional in how you execute on the policies that you have set forward. And lastly, there is a need for business skills in my community. I was very fortunate to have graduated from Tuskegee University as an engineer. I was very fortunate to have gone to Northeastern University for my business degree. But as I engage with people who have economic empowerment status, there's a lot of knowledge that's missing in that group. So I'm very passionate about lobbying with the folks that aren't necessarily in the same economic status that I am in, but I'm passionate about giving back and reaching back and pulling those folks along with me. So that's kind of why I'm here tonight, and I just hope that I would be encouraging to large businesses to take this serious and be very intentional about how you intend to help. A presentation or a meeting here and there, that's just not enough. So that's all I have to say.
That was incredible. I'm gonna follow up again. I'm fortunate, so there we go. And what you were just talking about, it's obsessed with research. You have to limit the number of surprises and unknowns. You do that by being prepared. You stay fluid in making adjustments, but you know those numbers. You sleep. You saying them in your sleep. Keeping up your spouse or your loved one at night because you're always talking about it. And what's that? Metrics. So it's data, research, science, all this stuff we love. I've never been into numbers, but Marion introduced me to numbers, and now I'm in love with them. I can do stories all day, but the numbers are the ones that make the change at the legislative level. As a community, we all know these things, but these numbers put it in front of people, and things have to be done about the numbers. Another suggestion for people getting involved and being an entrepreneur, and something I've gotten to be expert level at is being told no, and being okay to keep moving from that and learn something from every no, and take that. And that's not quitting. That's not giving up. That's you're going, you're learning, you're growing. At times it'll feel daunting. Everything's gonna make you feel like you want to give up, but just keep plugging away. I can attest personally to the municipal level problems of getting licenses and all of that. So, as soon as I can get to the right place, I will help bring up the numbers of 0.3% disability-owned applicants and 0.9 veteran applicants. I'll help those up a little notch. But really lastly, find mentors and make friends and hire an incredible attorney that's gonna, don't walk up to strangers and ask questions what they think. You're putting your livelihood, your name and everything out there. So people come up to me with ideas all the time, like that's a great idea, talk to an attorney, get that stuff on paper, figure it out. Be coachable and have anything you sign again looked at by an attorney before you put your signature on it. That's it.
I agree with Karima's piece very much. That would have been that's what I would have said tonight, about particularly mentorships. Because my organization, I represent a community that for 400 years has not had this opportunity to own a business, to build community, to build an economy and a community. When Eli Whitney came up with the cotton gin, my people were working fields. When they came up with the Industrial Revolution, your people were working in factories. When they came up with solar energy, we weren't even at the table. So this is the first time in 400 years people of color, working class white people have had the opportunity to be at the table. So, and being that to think of General Motors, I think of U.S. Steel, I think it's something that's going to outlive the next 5 generations of my grandchildren. I don't believe in rushing stuff. When we do good organizing, when we do good planning, you don't rush the process. But what you do have to do is you have to provide something for people who've never been engaged in the process before. Fortunately for us, we have begun a mentoring piece with a cannabis business who is going to be training people starting in May in Jamaica Plain in the southern section of Boston, to begin to start training people in business development, ownership, cultivation, all those various things that our people have not been at the table at. And that is a good, I think, mentoring model to bring in someone who's already doing the work, who recognizes that their economic success is going to be dependent upon how well you do business with others that don't necessarily look like you or act like you. And I think that's important, I think that's huge. And I'm excited about that. So I think that as we go forward, I think mentoring the partnerships they have, like they have in Oakland, California, big businesses working with the marijuana cannabis is going to be something that's going to be making a lot of money for a lot of people for a very, 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 very long time. So I believe mentoring and partnerships are absolutely the way to go.
And we've heard a strong theme of mentoring, education, training, partnership, diversity is valuable, profitable. And Commissioner Hoffman, we've heard from you from the commission's perspective, and I wonder if you had any additional thoughts on just generally, private sector, how big businesses and small businesses could work together.
Yeah, no, I mentioned a few things already, but there's one other issue I thought I'd raise. First of all, I thought there's nothing to disagree with amongst everything I just heard, so I think those are important suggestions. I do believe that industry is stepping up, partly because we're requiring them to tell us what their diversity plans and their plans to help disproportionately impact communities are. They realize that they're not going to get license renewals unless they've actually lived up to the commitments they made. And for those of you, that watch our public meetings, whether in person or streamed over the internet, when we review a license application and look at these plans for diversity and for disproportionately impact communities, pretty much every time there's pushback from one or more commissioners about put some teeth around it, make it, I'm a numbers guy by training, so I've known this for a long time. Put some metrics in place, put some numbers so we can actually judge whether you've done what you've said you're going to do. And as I said, serious in the room, I don't mean to single them out, but a number of companies have really stepped up, particularly to Horace's theme about mentoring and training. I think that the private community is absolutely going to be part of the solution, and I think that in the early stages, a number of companies have stepped up. The one thing that I don't know exactly how it's going to happen, but I know private companies are going to have to be part of the solution as well, is the financing issue I talked about. And when I've raised this issue about providing funding to these individuals, every private company I spoke to pretty much all of them that are in the industry right now, as well as the industry associations, say, just tell us where to write a check to. Now, that's easier than actually writing a check, I understand that, but I do believe they're going to be an ass, which the first time I've ever seen you do that. But your point about patience and doing this right, I completely agree with, and we are going to do this right. I'm going to just make one other comment about what you all can do, because there's one thing that we never talk about when we talk about the challenges of building up this industry and making it look the way we want it to. This is a federally illegal business, and because it is federally illegal, banks are not participating. We've literally had to beg and cajole to get 5 banks into the industry thus far, which is fantastic, but that's nowhere near enough when we get to the levels of revenue you committed us to. And as I said, those banks are moving cash from the marijuana facilities to the banks, and from the banks to the Federal Reserve. They're not lending, they're not financing, they're not providing traditional financial services. I have gone around to pretty much every private foundation in the state of Massachusetts and said, help. And they have said, not as long as it is federally illegal. So I'm not using that as an excuse. We are employees of the state of Massachusetts. We are upholding Massachusetts law, and whatever's done on federal level doesn't change our commitment. But I will tell you, if you want to do something, write a letter to your congressman. Write a letter to your state senator, or your U.S. senator. This industry, I think, can do really well, even if it stays federally legal, but it will really thrive if we can get the federal laws changed. And so one thing you can do is be part of that movement.
So we have about 10 more minutes for our next question. And why don't we, and then we'll move to audience Q&A. Why don't we cut to the chase? So we've heard a number of good strategies, how big business and small business can work together, but we also have all heard a lot of barriers. Those barriers being financial barriers, as well as maybe potentially municipal barriers or real estate barriers. From each of your perspectives, understanding these barriers that small businesses or economic empowerment or social equity applicants face, what's one innovative idea that you have, or suggestion, or takeaway that we should think about how to address those barriers? Let's start.
So I can start, I don't mind. So I like to really take the time to identify what I believe the barriers are in this industry. And lack of access to suitable board members to help advise us as we grow our businesses. So one of the things in your community and all of those things that happen that I'm totally not knowledgeable about, but I think zoning is something that is in your control as a municipality. So if you have that power, why not designate areas where they are for small businesses only? Where, hey, you know what, we're gonna keep the big boys off of Main Street, if you will. What about having the power or using your power to have the 2-to-1 designation, similar to what Somerville is doing? For every one applicant of large business, big money, why not allow 2 economic empowerment or social equity applicants to get into that space as well? You have that power. So my thing is, don't wait on the state to give you permission or to tell you what to do or how to pull your money or to tell you if you're following your guidelines. Like, be intentional. I mean, the reality, and I looked at some of the numbers for Holyoke, and this is old census data from 2012. There's only 33% of the businesses here are owned by women, whereas 54 are owned by men, and 27 owned by minorities. And to my friend here, only 10% are veteran owned. So the reality is, women, minorities, veterans, we are all socially disproportionately impacted, and we are in this together. We need to join forces, not against the male-owned businesses, but in partnership with them, and be open enough to welcome us to a seat at the table, if you will, and allowing us to be a part of this growth in this industry. So I'm sorry, I know you said one, but that's my 2 cents.
My response is very simple: slow down. We started off opening up a lot of businesses. And I can say, and in my view, equity and speed are not the same thing. Saying that you care about equity is different from showing that we're doing something about it. And frankly, I haven't seen any of it yet. And that's basically a window and see a business that's opened up, that's open at lines start forming at 8 in the morning. And at 10:30 at night, their line's still 2 blocks long, right? And I keep thinking about the guy who was responsible for getting a law firm to write a letter that basically said in the process that people of color just don't have it in them, no businesses, maybe we should all be nonprofits. And I look at that window and I look at that, and then I look 3 blocks up the street going east to Mission Hill, and a poor, broke-ass neighborhood, okay, that could have, that's why I'm grateful to the started timeout. Okay, what do we have to do for veterans? What do we have to do for communities of color? What do we have to do to raise the capital? I'm working on a bill with State Representative Archie Decker that would create a loan fund. I have no idea what other people are doing. I didn't even know Joe was doing that. I love Joe. But I love Joe to death.
Bring back that to Horace.
I said bring back that. Yeah, but it's critical now. Okay? I live in it. I live in the community. I work in that community. And when they see me, they know you are the social justice board. They look, this guy, you full of shit. I can't even refer them to somebody to get help for, to figure out whatever they're trying to do, they're trying to do right. Okay, so now that we got some people who are magically making money hand over fist, it's time to take a chill and let's look at the rest of us. Okay, let's look at how we create that loan fund. Let's look at how we make equity happen this year. Okay, this year, or maybe 3 years from now, but we need to know what the plan is so that we can go out without the business of working it and making it happen. If the commission's doing training, where? When? Is it certified? What are we going to do? I mean, that's where I am right now, and that's my real frustration, because the people who paid the price, who built the prisons, who created the jobs for your police officers, who created prison guards, are still left with their hand in their butts with nothing to show for it. So in my view, it's time for the commission to get off the pot and let's get real about this. We gave them as an advisory board recommendations on how to go about doing it. Now it's time to do it. And more than that, besides calling you senator and all that, you know what? What we need to be talking about is what kind of entity can we create to deal with the commission, okay? To make sure that the commission is on top of doing the will of the community. Because right now, it's incomplete.
I'm gonna go on my student comment and agree that slowing down is really important. Because so many of us smaller businesses do take time, take years to raise money, to find apartments, find locations rather, and it's really important. So I agree. Rather than 1 point, I'm gonna give you 6 because we need some help in equity. So I'll go really quick. No, so non-money original idea. The first one I think is a revolving loan fund. It's already been mentioned. Shout out to Mike, wherever you are. It's sustainable and helps populations who usually don't qualify for loans or are at high risk, and I think that's the very definition of economic empowerment, folks. Number 2, make it easier to become an economic empowerment applicant. We've seen so few getting through, and when you increase the barriers to any application, is harder. I would argue if we can make it a little bit easier, maybe 2 out of 6, we can have more people getting through the process. And let's open that up. Let's make it rolling applications. Why on earth are the economic empowerment applications closed? That's 2-week power. I can qualify, so I mean, it doesn't really cost, I think, that much money. So hopefully we can open it up. That'd be my third for second. Number 3, offer a clearinghouse of free resources and templates, critical documents such as leases with options, standard operating procedures, job descriptions, business plans, sample financial sheets for each type of cannabis business. These are things that don't really cost money. Someone can make it easy. Number 4, make a marketplace. It could be digital, it could be formal, it could be an ongoing network series, but have vetted EE applicants and investors and companies come together so we could maybe have annual pitch things. Let's make it an industry. Let's do it from the inside, since we know federal restrictions are there. Number 5, I mentioned a mentorship program, and I think that's really important. I think it should be set up with both parties to succeed, so don't make them competitors in the same geographic region. I think pairing, so with C-suite management, I think that's a really, really important component, and hopefully it can be incentivized so that it's a win-win for both sides of the party. And finally, access to essential cannabis professional services, and I would suggest maybe through a voucher program. We do this in law, with a guardian ad litem or an appointed attorney. We do this in medicine, with partial payments in Medicare. Why can't we have a voucher system where each person is allocated a certain number of visits with an attorney or vouchers, and the recipient, the professional services provider, agrees to accept voluntarily a lower rate to help economic empowerment? I can see a really robust program getting up in there. Oftentimes we're curtailed by our access to people. It took me 5 months to find a cannabis CPA. I went through 4 of them. It could have just saved me so much time, and I could have done so much further with my time in lower admission had somebody been able to help me. So those are some easy ones I recommend.
Again, I'm sure everyone here supports veterans. Maybe you know a veteran. There's some veterans out here. All right, if veterans, please stand up. Any veterans here? See, the thing about us is we're so diverse that we can go into any room and you won't know we're there. We're a small percentage of the population, but we are ones that have dedicated, I don't want to say the most, but we've all left our families, left our loved ones, said goodbye for what we thought was the last time, and are just incredibly fortunate to come home and live and honor those that haven't made it, that didn't make it home, or have made it home and aren't yet quite home yet. Your mothers always come back right away. And there's just so many amazing people, and that's the thing I want to jump on here is, as an entrepreneur, go and talk to people, talk to everyone, work with people, meet people, work together, create teams, open dialogue. That's where change starts. I mean, not even, you don't have to write your senator card. Show up at a town meeting, show up at your town hall. I mean, you'd be amazed at what you could do just because no one's said it yet, and it's just rattling around in your brain. It does you no good there. Go out and let it out. It'll make you uncomfortable at times, but that's my thing is get out there and be someone that does it. Don't just sit around thinking about it. Just go do
blanket expungement, so everybody got a chance to walk. And that's exactly what we need. That's nothing more than an act from the legislature. So that is something I also think we need to make a priority as we go forward in terms of equity and what have you. You know, expungement is something that's real and has to be.
One last quick innovative idea.
Well, I gotta do a few things first. Certainly recognize that the governor introduces me to people and says this man has the hardest and worst job in the state. I don't know if I agree with that, but it's a hard job. But that being said, you will never hear me use that as an excuse. We're gonna get this done. I appreciate her letting me off the hook a little bit, but I don't let myself off the hook, and none of the other commissioners do either. So that's point one. No, I know you, Horace. I know you well enough to know that you always say what you mean. Second, look, I welcome all the suggestions. We have had a couple of conversations at our public commission meetings about what else we can do. We set out a set of actions when we first got started around equity. We have not made the progress that we need to make. I think we get it incomplete rather than failing grade, but it's incomplete. So we've had several conversations, public conversations, where we've just thrown around ideas, and we've added things. This idea of trying to create a state interest-free loan fund came from one of those public commission meetings where we debated what else can we be doing to advance the cause here. I am not, it's probably inappropriate for me to throw out other ideas. If I had them, I'd already be doing them. But I will say that everything that you all suggested, I will get on the commission agenda from a learning standpoint. We're doing something brand new. There is no roadmap. We are trying to do the best we can, but we know we've got to learn and see how the ministry evolves and make changes as appropriate. So one of the benefits of going slowly is we get the time to make those changes, and it's set by commitment.
What is the prospect, Steve, of possibly having, now that we've gone through all this, now the businesses have started, now we're focusing on some of the things that are important and the learning is taking place. What is the prospect of possibly, I don't know what a good word for it, a summit, if you will, of leaders from around the state? Because it's not just the marijuana, it's not just cannabis advocates, it's civic organizations, it's community leaders, to figure out how together we can go forward.
That's a great idea, Horace. You know way more people than I do around the state.
the birth of change.
The birth of change,
Yeah.
Would somebody be able to stand up? Yep. Does anybody have a mic? I don't think so.
That's fine. I'm very loud. But thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, everybody. Especially this woman right here should be on the commission. However, I also understand that there are regulations for people to be on the CCC. And those regulations, can you clarify, in order to be on the CCC, I have two parts of this question. To be on the Cannabis Commission Committee, what are the priorities or the resume and so forth, and are you able to utilize cannabis? That's one question.
Okay, that's two questions.
Sure. And then there's another part of it too.
So you have three questions is what you meant to say, right?
Maybe like 100. Well, I just want to focus on first, like just educating and
Sure.
understanding what it means in order to be on the CCC. What are the qualifications?
Sure.
Who do they choose? So people understand why these precedents, these principles are so congruent to what we're explaining right now.
Okay. So it's really a matter of law. The said question 4 was approved by the voters in November 2016. The legislature took it under advisement and passed a law that modified question 4. And it was signed by Governor Baker on July 27th, 17, right?
Yeah.
And I'm still off by a year. The law specifies that there's a 5-person independent commission that is jointly appointed by the governor, the attorney general, and the treasurer. And each of the 5 commissioners comes from different backgrounds and has different qualifications. The governor appointed Senator Jen Flanagan, and her background is public health. The attorney general appointed Britta McBride, her background is public safety. Collectively, the governor, attorney general, and the treasurer appointed 2 other commissioners. One is Commissioner Kate Doyle. Her background is in regulated industry. She was part of the team at the Department of Public Health that wrote the medical marijuana regulations. The other jointly appointed commissioner is Commissioner Slim Title, and she represents social justice. The treasurer appoints the chairman, and that's me. And my background, according to the law, my background had to be in business and managing startups, which is what I did for 45 years prior to retiring and then failing retirement. And this is proof of my failure of retirement. I'm sitting here tonight. And we are all appointed for staggered 5-year terms. And I think that's important in that I think the legislature really understood this was going to take a while. That this was not going to happen overnight. And the fact that I'm in this job 1.5 years out of 5 years, we got a lot more work to do, but we've got more time to do it. So that's how it got created. That is in the legislation. So it's very explicit about how the commission got appointed and what the qualifications were. And marijuana is legal in the state of Massachusetts, so therefore I could choose to use it if I so chose.
Sorry, the second question that I
That
had.
is your third question.
Was just the fact, a lot of the medical patients are having a huge issue when it comes to the fact of when they get seen with the doctor and when they get their hard copy. And that is a huge disparity and transparency through all medicinal or medical dispensaries.
So we just took over the medical program.
I would actually echo that, sorry.
Yeah, no, there's no question, it's a challenge. So when we got started in September 2017, we just had responsibility for the adult use program, but under the law, we took responsibility for medical marijuana over from the Department of Public Health on December 31st of last year, so we've had it for a little under 4 months. We are introducing automatic instantaneous temporary registration, and that's going to be rolled out in the next couple of weeks.
So I'm Kyle. So I own the Summit Private Lounge and deal with a bunch of people from inside the community, and a lot of the concerns that I've heard recently aren't around pretty much have their dreams smashed of having an equitable cannabis industry. So they're really not concerned with becoming entrepreneurs anymore. They're more concerned with Prohibition 2.0. They're more concerned with being arrested and harassed by local law enforcement, and really not having their opportunities met within the cannabis industry. So what would you say to those people? Because I really don't know what to say to them anymore. So.
Is that addressed to me, Kyle?
Any one of you, I'd like to hear your point on it. Or we're hoping to be small business owners in the cannabis industry.
Okay, so small business owners and different economic empowerment and social equity relevant groups or people wanted to be in the industry. It's been taking a while, and now there's frustration in terms of moving from an interest in entrepreneurship to now trying to find other outlets or sort of losing their dreams, so to speak. All right. Anybody have any thoughts on?
Go ahead. I'm more than happy with.
I would just put, I'm in the camp. I know Kyle, he's awesome. I do want to have a shout out because I have a lot of respect for Kyle. So thanks for being a pioneer in social consumption. That said, I think it's a really tricky thing. And so I just want to empathize in being one of those people that it's really hard. I lost money. I lost over $30,000 on our property just when, and the regulations changed, and those are things that are really hard. And those are those pivot points. I think Stephen was talking about, when we're told no, we gotta pivot. We can't just accept no. We gotta keep going. So I've found a little bit of solace in being able to pour my passion while I'm waiting into politics and really changing the local environment. It's not a direct answer, but it certainly has helped in making the business environment more friendly. And I think as a local person, we do have a little bit more influence over local ordinance zoning, so I think at least in the micro environment, kind of setting out for whatever kind of business and just, I found credibility over being there in the long term. There's certainly people who showed up at the first day, all sorts of cannabis businesses, and the city really shades, I would think, and people who are there day after day, year after year, showing up their continued interest. So have hope, we're all hoping.
Yeah, great.
One other thing to add, Kyle's been incredibly supportive of the veteran community with allowing my organization these lounge-hold meetings and meet with other veterans and have this place without stigma, which is great. And to go about the Prohibition 2.0, that needs to be handled at the legislative level again. Like, yeah, it's disturbing, it's frightening to see these task forces put together, and like there's no task force for testing on opioids or anything like that. For instance, my father is dying from cancer right now and going through chemo and all that crap. Doctor gave him opioids. He asked about driving. He's like, yeah, if you can drive, drive. And it's like, are you BSing me? I can have smoked last weekend, get pulled over, say no to a test because they think I might be high because, wow, Steve Mandile might have cannabis in him. You don't say. So to deny a test that scientifically can't prove anything, I could lose my license for 6 months just because I drive. When our doctors are telling people on opioids to not do that. So call your state legislators, let them know, like, hey, if you want my vote again, don't let this happen. And enough people call and make something like that happen. That is the power of the people.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much to everybody. I think this has been a very interesting discussion. I wish it could go on longer. But we've heard a lot of really interesting points and lessons, I think, about different ideas for opportunities to engage and different points that we need to think about in terms of diversity with big businesses working with small businesses, loan funds, mentoring. Excuse me.
We can't do any more questions now. We're going to move on to the next panels.
Yeah, I apologize. But all of the speakers will be in the audience and around for the rest of the event.
Yep.
So I think, we're very excited and grateful to everybody for being here. And as we've looked at the diversity of the different opinions and veterans, people of color, women, people with disability in Western Mass, what are some of the models around social equity and inclusion here from a variety of perspectives? So we'll take lessons from Shamika,